I'm going to be brutally honest. I work for this man. I work for the Trump Park condominium. I did private security for him. And if you actually work for this man, you will see he has one of the most diverse companies you can work for. I'm talking about from Polish to Dominican to Russian, you name it, they work for him. And he treats them all well.
I'm sure you've seen for the past week that the media has been flipping out over Trump's recent comments on Kamala Harris constantly flip-flopping her racial identity. Check it out.
Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman.
I respect either one. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask.
So notwithstanding the fact that this is objectively true, Kamala has repeatedly flip-flopped on her identity whenever it has been the most politically convenient throughout the years. The media, predictably, has been freaking out about this. They've been saying Trump is a racist. How dare he question whether Kamala is a real black person? And days later, CBS and CNN thought they would really get a gotcha in on Trump by going to a black barbershop and doing one of those segments asking, what do you think about Trump's recent comments? But unfortunately for them, it did not go exactly the way they'd expect. So folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. But just check this out right here, because despite all of the outrage about Trump's comments and people saying he's going to lose the election because he said this in a random interview, it turns out that a lot of people in the black community may actually somewhat on some level agree with Trump's comments. Check it out.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low-information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
So there you saw this interview not exactly going the way they had hoped, because they just assumed, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be so pissed off. And then you go into the black barbershop and they're all saying, no, I don't think Kamala Harris is actually black either. And the CNN anchor there very hilariously and arguably very insultingly says, these are just low-information voters. They're not informed. They're not educated. How dare they do this? And it's like, okay, if they're the exception and not the rule like you claimed on your segment, then why exactly are you even platforming them? And I'm talking specifically about this CNN anchor doing a reaction segment to this random local news story, right? If it's really that rare, if this sentiment doesn't really exist, why are you addressing it? Oh, that's right. You're addressing it because CNN is secretly a little bit scared maybe that this sentiment that Kamala Harris is not actually black may run a little bit deeper than people actually think. But anyways, check out more of this. This whole interview gets even more hilarious because it just does not go out the way you would expect it to go. Check it out.
Is Donald Trump a racist?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Until I see something for myself that would paint in my mind or give me the information, the evidence, hey, he's racist, I would say yes. But currently, that man hasn't done anything or said anything that made me look at him and go, oh, he's a racist.
If you ask social media, is he a racist? Is it a little more clean?
Oh, yeah, it's clean cut.
Yeah. What's happening over there?
It has been painted in the media for him, because they take sound bites of him, they take his speeches, and they can turn them into him targeting one specific type of race in a sense like that, but like him, unless there's a defining image of him being racist, then he's racist to me.
I'm going to be brutally honest. I work for this man. I work for the Trump Park condominium. I did private security for him. And if you actually work for this man, you will see he has one of the most diverse companies you can work for. I'm talking about from Polish to Dominican to Russian, you name it, they work for him. And he treats them all well. He treated me like a king. Like, I've been around this man, you know, and he's always been good. I've watched him in New York City. Every rapper in New York City has mentioned this man for a reason. Because he does do things in the community.
It's funny you say that.
If you pay attention to his presidency, he did do stuff for historical black colleges and inner city, things like that. So, like, this is what I tell people, like, get to know the person first. Do your homework, you know?
Several days later.
Last week, before Trump appeared at the NABJ, Joel D., a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania CBS network anchor, went to a central Pennsylvania barbershop seeking some candid conversation. Among the revelations, that some of the black men that he interviewed did not regard Harris as black.
Again, I just don't understand why the CNN anchor is so ridiculously mad about this if he's claiming that nobody really believes this outside of these people in this random barbershop right here. But here is the greater point, I think, in reaction to watching that entire segment, is that immediate perception is not always the long-term reality. There has obviously been a lot of recent media backlash over Trump's comments, and it's even leading some conservatives I see on Twitter saying, we're going to lose the election. Trump is screwing himself over because he said these really stupid comments about Kamala Harris's race and all of this. And look, to play devil's advocate, I really do understand the perspective. This election will certainly be won on the political issues, not whatever comments about Kamala's race necessarily. But at the same time, I do think there may be a level of 4D chess to what Trump said, because the media is going to freak out about this. But how long is that going to last? About a week? Sure. But long term, when everyone forgets exactly what Trump said and the outrage settles and the little potential tank in his approval rating comes back to normal after people basically get over it, the long-term effect, as we've seen Trump do with this type of stuff for many times throughout the years, is that people will leave not really remembering what Trump said, but maybe sowing the seeds of a little bit of doubt over what is Kamala Harris's racial identity. But more importantly than that, that simply Kamala Harris is insincere. She is a disingenuous, fake person, and perhaps that is the real point to be had over her identity. And that, folks, as you arguably saw in this segment right here, may be the long-term effect of Trump saying this. And this is nothing new. This has been the Trump playbook for many years now, which is say something that initially will be considered outrageous and the media will attack and do all this, and oh my gosh, how dare he say this? But then long-term, people start to think about it and people start to say, maybe Trump had a little bit of a point there. I'll give you a couple examples. 2016, what was this big thing that he said in his very first speech? Build the wall. And everyone said, wow, what? You want to build a wall? That's the craziest idea ever. And then a couple years later, what happens? People are starting to think, hey, maybe that was actually a good idea. I'll give you a more relatable example to the situation, which is him calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas in 2020. The media said the exact same thing. He is attacking Elizabeth Warren's Native American heritage. But then, if you'll remember, that Native American scandal and the display of how it really made Elizabeth Warren an insincere person ultimately helped to tank her 2020 Democrat primary campaign. And so I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not necessarily saying that these comments are not going to hurt Trump, but I could see the angle to where long term, by the time we get to election day, they actually do something. They prove a point to the American people with Kamala Harris that potentially they were not considering. And keep this in mind, which is naturally what is going to happen, because people will say Trump shouldn't be saying this. The election needs to be about the issues. Well, think about that on the flip side, though. Naturally, the media has to turn around and constantly defend Kamala Harris over her racial identity, right? And again, obviously, people will say that this is a distraction. Trump needs to win this election on the issues, and that is certainly true, but that is also true in the reverse, right? If Kamala Harris and the media make this campaign about diversity or inclusion or her racial identity, on the flip side, they're also going to lose. And naturally, what is happening as a result of Trump's comments here? The media has spent the entire week defending exactly what? Kamala Harris's racial identity. And because he has now kind of put this into the narrative, into the political discourse of the country, that's what their entire side is now going to talk about. So in some ways, I would argue, I'm not saying it's true, but I would argue a case could be made that with this little offhand comment that Trump made, he has kind of given bait to the mainstream media that they're going to take. And in that sense, arguably, it could backfire. Again, it's just something to consider. But overall, let's just conclude on this. The greater point of Trump's comments and of this entire segment is that Kamala Harris is simply a disingenuous person. It doesn't matter if she's black, Indian, or mixed, which she really is. That's not the point. The point is she's fake about it, right? She's disingenuous about it. She flip-flops to whatever is politically expedient, and that is why the American people should not trust her. And in that, I think there's a genuine point to be made, and it is what it is. That said, folks, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. But until next time, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new. God bless and peace.